As promised, I told you we would really cover this fight. The fight that happened over the weekend with Tio Lopez against, Josh Taylor, who's a magnificent fighter, stand up, can fight off his back foot, really knows how to counter well. This fight packed all of the things that we look for in a boxing match that's at the elite level of boxing. And what we're going to do is really get into some of the X's and O's that really highlighted throughout this fight and what most people didn't see coming. And as I went live last week, I kind of said it, never underestimate a boxer that's in the sport that you have no reason to just frown upon. And because they will always find a way to shock the apple cart. And that's what you saw. It was a performance that most people will remember through the test of time. And the reason why people will remember this fight is because they did not expect to see that coming. And when we came up in that boxing game, in the higher levels of amateur boxing, there was always a kid that could dazzle you inside of the ring. And that's why amateur boxing is so great. And that's why I love being in South Florida, because the amateur boxing programs are just so electric. And when you see these little kids, you see the little Sugar Ray Leonards, you see the little Oscar De La Hoyas, you see the little Pretty Boy Floyds. When they're in that incubator and they're coming out, and you see very good postures and styles of boxing. I'm talking Philly shell, rolling shoulders, kids using styles within like the peekaboo. Teofimo Lopez pulled out the old mongoose last over the weekend with the turtle shell defense and actually countered off of it. That's where the sport of boxing has gotten to right now. That's where it's going back to, because now we have a line of fights that we could actually look forward to seeing. Teofimo Lopez has beat two of the greatest fighters in this era. Regardless of what you feel about him right now, Teofimo Lopez should be mentioned in the best fighters. Like, really mentioned. And I'm talking pound for pound, the skill set. And I'm going to explain to you why. But before I get started, let me introduce myself. My name is Coach Eric A. Bradley. Coach, that is, and we teach boxing. And for those of you who have never watched this channel, shame on you. And boy, you are late to the dance. They call me the real fight doctor. And we are about to get it popping with some Teofimo Lopez and the skills that he displayed. And right now the footage is you can find it. What we're going to do is break the footage down. So for those of you who comment, we're going to basically let you take part in this film breakdown, this film study breakdown. So we got some of you out here who actually box. I just got off the phone with one of my homies now down here. He lives in right here in Miami, and he actually is a professional fighter. And one of the things that you can expect to see is some real solid understanding those pillars. When you ask questions about boxing, you find out, all right, one guy asked today, I saw a fundamental program, and what I want to know is, what do I need to do if I've been practicing boxing for a little while? When you've been practicing boxing for a little while and you've been at a gym, the best thing that you can do is to continue focusing on your fundamentals. And so what I told him, and the reason why I'm talking about this, let me see. I see a couple of people out here shouting out, I love some boxing pictures. I want you guys to have. Okay, I see you. I see you. Yeah, you can always message us up or send it to support@masterboxingllc.com if you have something that you want to share with us. The thing is, the kid, I want you to remember fundamentals until you got the title, until you retire, until you're passing down the torch to your grandkids. Fundamental boxing is something that you cannot think that you're bigger than. I had guys that have been boxing for 8, 10, 50 years, literally, former world champions come in the gym. We get on the box step, get on the basic jab, stay on your defense, keep your chin tucked. Make sure you rotate your punch over. If you want to go Mexican style, step, jab, and drag, Archie Moore style, Mexican style fighting. I mean, I hit you hard. Even when I'm throwing my jab, I want it to feel like a right hand. These are the kind of things that whenever you understand boxing, this is what fundamental boxing gets you. So that's why we created something cool, because I knew that people would always question, should they look for a harder level program? No, you should never look for a harder level program. You look at the fundamentals and who breaks it down the best for you. Not that you know how to do footwork. You saw Teofimo Lopez creating angles in the ring, in the corner, slipping left, slipping right, keeping the head off the line, pot shotting, throwing combinations, raking to the body, sliding it left and sliding right, stepping around whenever you go into your right, just like Devin Haney. He just did it against Lomachenko. The step around, shoulder down, smooth turn. And when you can do that on top of countering, then you're learning what you will master as a great fundamentalist. See, all of those skills, they start to evolve from what you were doing to what you now are capable of doing. So if you know how to do a basic pivot, when you become a master of pivoting, it's because you've stuck with your fundamentals in boxing. So I told the young man in the messenger, start with the basic program. We got them. Tony Jeffries got them. Coach Anthony got them. All the guys got these fundamental programs. Who do you want to listen to do it so that you'll get it? Because no matter who you get it from, you're going to need affirmation on those skills no matter what. And guess what? In 10 years, you'll be doing those exact same skills. So stop asking all the questions. Get in it and start learning it, getting it into your muscle memory yourself. Sitting there contemplating while guys are right now turning into the next Teofimo Lopez. They are turning into the next Lomachenko while you asking questions. They putting in work. So that's my most profound advice to any of you who are in that space. Stop talking. Stop asking so many questions. Hell, invest $100 in your future. If you plan on being successful in anything, first jump in with both feet. Ask questions later. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference between these kids now. You got so much access to so many different things. Hit this like button if you're on topic with what I'm saying. Because the thing is knowing now that you have access to all of those kind of things. So get on it. This is how crazy this place is. When you see these fighters that are boxing today, and I'm going to jump back into the Teofimo Lopez, because now you have to start seeing him as a guy that you really have to reckon with. So if you are a younger coach or a coach who does not know what it's like to walk out of a tunnel where there's flames and smoke and noise and people screaming, if you have not done that, let me give you some pearls to take with you. And if you're one of these fighters or these aspiring guys who are practicing in your bedroom, your next phase is to stop talking about it and get to a gym. Google local gyms. I cannot believe some of you take liberty to ask. I live in South Florida. You may live in Mexico and you asking me where's a gym you could go to. I'm saying, does your Google not work? Because it's definitely working while you're messaging me. The page is all about making sure that you are affirming certain things that's relevant for you. My only thing is don't be lazy. That thing that's waking you up at 2 a.m., listen to it. That voice that's tapping you in the middle of the night, listen to it because it's telling you that your calling is right in front of you. Now, are you going to jump into it and dive into it? Or are you going to keep asking questions? I always share with the people that are watching this feed that positive energy, that thing that got you to start doing what you're doing is right in front of you. And it's called the mirror. And you have to start questioning yourself and challenging yourself to rise above the noise in your head. So these three things when you're going into the boxing game, because I heard a couple of people talking about they want to become promoters. That's great. If you want to get into the game to promote, that's great. You're going to have to take steps and you're going to have to learn to ask questions. Okay. So ask questions down in the comment boxes. I see my man Shamar Hill. Special shouts out to you. Somebody from TSOB, the School of Boxing. Also, I think that's Paul. Special shouts out to you, brother. Coaches in the Build Top Training You program. People who are not sitting back asking tons of questions. Shoot first with your answers or responses, and then you know ask questions later when you really have the full attention of the person. Don't do Messenger is used for asking questions, and once you get that answer, you go ahead and you jump in and you do your thing. All right, that's the advice I would have for all of you aspiring trainers and all of you aspiring fighters. Don't sit on the fence. When you watch these guys who box this weekend, it takes a long time to get to that level. It takes a long time to do what Teofimo Lopez was doing inside of that boxing ring. When he was in that corner and Josh Taylor was pressing him and he wasn't even throwing a jab. He was showing you how to fight if you're not going to use a jab. He was keeping his head off the center line, looking left or looking right. And then he was doing a drop step. Do you understand how to take a boxing skill and turn it into a craft? Like that's a real thing that he had to do. Like you got to get so good at your fundamentals that your offensive and defensive prowess all mirrors that. Like Sweet Pea Pernell Whitaker, Willie Pep. When you're looking at guys who had that skill set, they were like giants in the ring. You could not touch him. Sugar Ray Robinson had power, had footwork, had flair, had sizzle, had style, was just breaking cats down. And y'all didn't even get to see any of his first 50 fights because they were not on TV. The only footage they have of Sugar Ray Robinson is after he had won 50 fights. Now imagine that was Floyd Mayweather's whole career. So imagine if you would have saw Floyd's career after 50 fights and Muhammad Ali after 50 fights. Muhammad Ali would have been 5-5, kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Like, think about that. How good this dude really had to be at that level, to operate in that with that magnitude. And so, how many of you, let me know in the comment boxes, really understand boxing when you watch it on film? Because to watch it, to see it, to feel it, to taste it, it's more than just seeing somebody go left, seeing someone go right, go forward, go back. It's easy to beat someone that's not better than you. The thing about it is when the guy is as good as you are or better and you figure out how to beat him, that's a special fighter. Special meaning knowing how to implement a discipline in order to overcome adversity inside of the boxing ring. That's the definition of boxing. Hit and not get hit, and then turn on the smoke and the venom when it's called upon, when you need it. And that's what was so beautiful about the display. Josh Taylor fought beautifully, would have beat anybody else in boxing that night, except Teofimo Lopez, because he has a lot of the exact same things that Devin Haney has, but he can punch. He has a whole lot of things that Tank has, but he's bigger. So he has the best of both worlds. He has everything that Shakur Stevens had. Slick, quick, but powerful. And will fight all night. The fight that he had with George Kambosos proved to you that he's a gorilla. Overcoming the last couple of rounds with Lomachenko when he fought that fight proved that he was a gorilla. Beating Josh Taylor like he stole something proved that he has immense skill set and is a killer. He's not just athletic. You can't just be athletic. There are a lot of guys who try to get by on athleticism, one being Adrian Broner. Respect Adrian Broner for getting into the ring and figuring out how to get his career back. So special shouts out to the Broner team. There's no mark on this because anybody who stepped between that ring rope, we respect them. Even if you don't step between that ring rope, if you go to the gym every day and you dedicate your time and your effort to somebody else, we respect your gangster. So just understand. A special shouts out to you. I'm going to read your comments. Make sure you comment below. If you want your comment read and replied to, drop your comments down right now. I'm really serving up where the sport is right now based on this performance because I never done a live on Monday for the show. But the beautiful thing is being able to look at a fighter and say to the audience, you're watching greatness. Now, Teofimo Lopez has mentioned that he's going to retire. The thing is, you can't get caught up in it because he has to do it for a reason. First, he has to make sure the courts don't try to take his kid because they're saying if you fight, you can't possibly be taking care of your kids because you got to go off the training camps. You have to go 2 fights, fly 2 fights, probably different countries. You never know. Court systems are crazy with, little triggers that they could use. The game is slick, so you got to be slicker. So he retired. And he also has to make sure that the game starts to respect him for what he brings. And what you saw now is what is happening in boxing. It's starting to get back to its top pillar, and nothing can compete with it when all of the fighters are fighting. You just wait till next month when Errol Spence and Bud Crawford get into that ring. That last 2 weeks, you're going to see it because they don't even need to promote it because it's overdue. And yes, if you think the momentum has been left in that fight, make sure you drop it down in the comment box. I want to hear your opinion on that. We will read the comments. Thing about it is, the height of that fight has tapered off. The reality is it's still going to be that fight. You got it in boxing. There's been such a mishap on these individuals who are the promoters and management holding these things off, saying it's a bill. Let me explain to you the difference between building a fight 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and today. 10 or 12 years ago, you had to have HBO, you had to have Showtime, and you had to have the means to pay per view. You had to have the means to do a lot of different things. Today, you had to build the fight back then. You had to build a fight and build a fight. The thing about it is they didn't realize there's this thing now called social media, and it's in everybody's hand. And the minute people start to see stuff, they run right to it. What the promoters need to do, and I'm talking Eddie Hearn, and I'm talking, so that's Matchroom Boxing, Mayweather Boxing, Promotions, De La Hoya, Golden Boy, Top Rank. What they got to do now is what Dana White's doing. Now when the thing is at the peak, it's at the peak. You got millions of people on YouTube, millions of people on Instagram, millions of people on Facebook, millions of people on Twitch, millions of people on TikTok When everybody's talking about it at once, make the fight happen. Because that's the peak of the fight. That's the most likely chance to get the mainstream audience inside of the game. What's happening is they're sticking to the old ways that they had to build fights. You had to build fights over the course of time. Mayweather used to promote a fight for 6 months. That's the business model, that's the framework. The difference is now everybody has social media, and all of the social media outlets seconds out. MMA, ESPN, all of these different media outlets, Fight Hub, Fight Hype. Everybody's doing their job. Everyone has millions of followers. You don't need to build it over 2 or 3 years anymore. Now all you need to do is build it up over a course of 2 months. Like the minute they start popping off, hey, you got to fight. Once it starts to go back and forth on Twitter, once memes are starting to be created, then now you're at the place and time where it's time to make this fight. It'll make it to mainstream television because everybody has a social media account. You feel what I'm saying? Let me know if you feel what I'm saying, because this is the reality where we are right now. And what our focus is to make sure that we give you the inside of what's going on in the sport and we give you the breakdown of it. Not just saying, like most people, they can tell you something's happening, but they can't get into it because they're not really from boxing. I'm really from boxing. Okay. That's why this shirt says master boxing. No matter how many companies use the word and the phrase now, this is master boxing. I created this and it's been created. It's my company. It's not a tagline. It's not a hashtag on a website or a channel. When you think of master boxing, you best think of Eric A. Bradley, third generation. Nothing but boxing gangsterdom for almost 4 decades now. So I want you to all realize that the sport is in a good place and support these channels, support these people. Whether you out there, heckling, if you're heckling, guess what? You need it. You need a little camaraderie to build a fight. Thing about it, just don't overstep the bounds. Don't go over and across your lane, because last night down here in South Florida, Floyd Mayweather fought John Gotti Jr. or John Gotti the third or whatever, and a big fiasco popped off. And so we don't need that, right? You don't need that fighting in the ring stuff. That's the 90s. That was back in the 90s. Riddick Bowe, the fan man, and press conferences with guys was jumping off. We don't need that craziness. Thing is, we do need the fights promoted. We need people to get behind it. We need the inswell from you in the viewing audience. You need to like videos, comment on videos, because that's the impressions that people use to decide if they're going to make a fight. So get on these fights. Let me see. I see you. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Yeah, we do what we try to do. We do what we try to do. We appreciate it, and we try to keep it all under roof. We try to make sure that you all are learning a different kind of way. Like, you're not just learning what I'm saying. Like, you get to actually look into the books that we teach, sparring and knowledge, and so it's more to it than you just seeing some stuff and hoping you get better. Like, we give you theory, we let you read and go through programming, and so that's how you get to that level of the kids that are like Tio. If you don't have training right now, you make sure that you get to a place. In the meantime, try to understand the theory of boxing. Understand, so when you get in there, it'll be in your bones. You'll understand it theologically, so it'll be in your brain. And then when you start working with a coach, because we're grooming coaches to do it the right way. When you start working with a coach, you can receive it better. You say, I remember hearing these phrases. And don't do a lot of physical stuff without someone watching you. Always be supervised. That's one of the things that I want you guys to take serious. Don't try to become this fighter that is truly not listening to anyone. You have to listen to the people. Oh my gosh. You have to listen to someone. And with that being said, I just realized I did this whole thing without my mic turned on the right way. So that's horrible. And have someone that's going to listen to you so that you can really get to where you need to get to in this game. And the reality is, once you become a boxer, you're going to understand it because it's going to be in your mind, it's going to be in your DNA, you're going to feel it a different kind of way. I hope you all trust and believe what I'm saying, because when you start to do this thing for real, it's a real blessing to be able to do it. Make sure you stay tuned. Tomorrow we'll be posting that there's going to be a great film study. If we have enough traction on it, we are going to do the most immaculate film study breakdown on the pros and cons and the skills, how to acquire the actual skill that's required, that's necessary to fight at this level. And when you can do that, the game changes for everybody. Your skills, your mindset, your confidence, that people are going to want to actually get in your corner and work with you, because all of that has to be acquired. You have to acquire the imp what we call it, the impasse. People will see you working, and that's when they'll commit. If you go to a boxing gym prior to that, what will happen is no one's really going to want to do anything with you because you hadn't proven anything. And if you are of an elite level, then you understand you got to prove yourself. I'm about to get out of here. Hopefully, you guys leave your comments down below. I apologize for the microphone just getting right now. I had it, didn't have it on the right setting, but the reality is support boxing, and we're going to continue to feed you. So go down and check out some of the reels. Enjoy the content that's on the page. I thank all of you new followers. We're getting 2,000 new followers a day. Today, we've actually acquired 5,000 new people, 6,000 new people. So we appreciate you taking the time to talk boxing with us, to learn boxing with us. And we don't take that lightly. That's all I got. Coach Bradley signing out. Special shouts out to my brothers in the School of Boxing, Top Trainer U, Master Boxing Systems, Championship University. We got you covered. Peace out. Be blessed at Godspeed. See you on Thursday.